Millions of people have begun using artificial intelligence tools like ChatGPT and others. And powerful new tools are fun to play with and can be really helpful. But one of the really important aspects to know about using a new tool is knowing what it's good for and knowing what it's bad for, understanding when to use it and when it shouldn't be used. That is an essential part of understanding artificial intelligence and using it to your advantage. One day I was standing in my living room. I have 4 kids, as you saw, and I was married at the time, and I was standing in the living room, and I started hearing this loud noise. Bam! 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 And I know my youngest son well enough to know when I hear a noise I don't recognize, investigate. So I was like, uh-oh, that sounds bad. And so I called out to my wife. I says, do you know where Eli's at? And she said, last I saw he was going out into the garage. Uh-oh. Fears confirmed. And so I walked over, I opened up the garage door, and Eli was standing at the back door of the garage. We had like a regular doorknob, and he was whacking the doorknob with a hammer. And I said, Eli, what are you doing? And he looked at me like this made all the sense in the world. He said, I'm trying to open the door with this hammer. And he was just whacking the doorknob with a hammer. And I realized Eli found a hammer. And you may have heard this proverb before, to a man with a hammer, everything is a nail. Once Eli found that hammer, he was on a mission to find things to use it for. This is AI. Everybody is putting this hammer in their hand, including our students, and they're saying, I can hit everything with this. This is good for opening doors. This is good for doing my assignments. This is good for creating a will. This is good for whatever. And they don't understand what this tool is good for and what it's bad for and how to use it. We have this happening with companies now too. Every company of size, I've been to 4 conferences this summer about technology. Every company is looking for a way to put AI in as many cracks and crooks and crannies as they possibly can. No one wants to be late to the game, and so everybody's making a rush to get AI. And they don't understand it. They don't know what the hammer's good for and what it's bad for. And we're in hammer time right now. I mean, and we're only beginning. As I told you, Meta's is in November, Apple's is in the first quarter of next year. Elon Musk will come. There are waves of generative AIs that will be arriving, and it will be saturated into everything that we do. It just will be unavoidable in a lot of ways. Matter of fact, we have a section just for students on how to cite papers, how to know whether they can use it or can't use it, MLA, APA, Chicago, all that kind of stuff. But I got to tell you, I'm pretty convinced that a year from now, my students won't be citing it. You know why? They're going to have to cite when they don't use it. Because the assumption is going to be, I don't have them cite word processors. Did you use WordPerfect or did you use Microsoft Word? And if you can imagine writing a paper without a word processor now, this is probably what writing will be like for us in the future, using these tools. Word processor is a tool. Calculator is a tool. You can imagine doing complicated math without a calculator. We're in tool time. There is so much more. I wish I could tell you about this. It is fascinating, and I wish I could show you some of the stuff it will do. It will do absolutely remarkable things. It will do SLO creation. One of the things that we did in a workshop a couple weeks ago was they told me in plain language what they were hoping the students would do, and we created SLOs with assessment measurements, with examples, with citations from articles that supported those things. It will do astounding number of tasks for you to at least get you started. They have to be double-checked. They can be inaccurate. There's a ton of stuff. I hope you have a wonderful time playing with it. I hope that you are able to help your students. As I said at the very beginning, we've abandoned trying to detect it. It's just impossible to detect. And so the assumption we're making is that they're using it for everything all the time, or many of them are. When I taught the first week of class, when I taught my students how to use it, one student said, I have never heard of this and never used it before, out of 31 students in my class. So after class, she came up and she said, oh, I'm sorry, I was wrong. I've been using it in Google. I didn't realize that was what it was. So I had one student that said they didn't use it, and they actually had been. They just didn't know the name of it. And none of them know how to use it correctly. They were all misusing it, and they were hitting the door with a hammer.